Do you believe in curses, my Barakun? Curses? And we're back to the curse talk again. I think they're interesting, but I really don't. I felt their cynical stares and winced. It was like they were telling me it was stranger not to believe in curses. You're not wrong, Hei-chan. Curses are just superstition. It's only natural you wouldn't believe in them. Besides, you can take all the time you need to decide whether to believe in curses after you heard us, though. Heard us through, apparently. Said Takano-san, giving a little smile. They're trying to scare me. At least that's what it feels like. Alright, I'll start. Keiichi-kun, do you know about the Hinamizawa Dam project? Oh yeah, the other day an agent Shion, or Mion rather, told me all about it. You mean the plan for the giant dam that would flood all of Hinamizawa, right? That's right. Residents of the town banded together to fight it, and a fierce battle with the government unfolded. I've heard that too. Can't stop coughing all of a sudden. The entire village united using all the power at their disposal, mass media, political influence and other things, and fought the country. The way Mion described it made it sound like a boast. Oh, you know quite a bit about it. Yes, you're right. It's practically an epic tale, how just 1,000 or so villagers banded together and rejected the government plans. Did you hear this from my sister? She liked those kinds of epics, you know? Yeah, you told me. There was, however, an office for the Hinamizawa residents' opposition faction. It was this shrine. You know the assembly hall? It's where it used to be. Now that the whole thing is over, the senior citizens just use it for group activities. At the time though, it was their last bastion. Takano-san explained this, pointing their finger towards the assembly hall. I had been carrying things in and out of there all day. I mean, I would understand if they put an office like that in the mayor's house or something, but having an office on shrine grounds made it feel like a base camp for Sengoku period warriors. That was basically the mindset though. Placing the main force in the shrine dedicated to Oyashiro-sama, Hinamizawa's guardian deity, was like a prayer for victory. Oyashiro-sama. That was definitely it. They mentioned Oyashiro-sama's curse before. Is it the same Oyashiro-sama? Do you know about do you know about Oyashiro-sama, Keiichi-kun? It was the name of the god worshipped at the shrine. They said that he protects all of Hinamizawa. Well, I don't really know much about him. I see, I think Takano-san knows more about the rest. Tag, you're it. Well, that is generally the whole story. Oyashiro-sama is the ancient god passed down in Hinamizawa, and the villagers say he has been protecting this sanctuary from the poisons of the outside world. So essentially he's a basic standard guardian deity. I guess you could find that sort of god anywhere you go. There's research into whether worshipping Oyashiro-sama is a manifestation of a kind of elitism too. What I mean is that the worshippers might think of themselves as chosen people. Believe in yourself chosen. A nationalistic belief is that you are part of a superior race, or that you're a special clan chosen by the gods. They believe that they are a superior clan, so they believe strongly in cooperating with others, but they also end up being exclusionary towards other clans. I won't go into too much detail, but it's the sort of national and religious ideas that lead to war. Of course, that goes for Japan too. A long time ago, the people of Hinamizawa strongly believed themselves different from humans, that they were above them. They believed that interaction with the lower world would sully their souls. So everyone believed that if one from the lower world came to the village, they would be sullied and suffer the wrath of Yashiro-sama. Apparently that kept everyone away. Villages that hate outsiders come up all the time in Kindachi novels. This was once a run-of-the-mill village of xenophobes. Well, they'll deny it to preserve their pride. It was a long time ago, after all. Things are different now. Shion followed up quickly, having sensed the thorns in Tomitake-san's words. Tomitake-san, embarrassed at what he said, scratched at his head. So this shrine worships Oyashiro-sama, thinks of Hinamizawa as a holy ground, and it's a symbol of their traditional hatred of the outside world. I get it. So that's why they chose the shrine of Hinamizawa's guardian spirit as their base of operations, to resist the Sully Dam project that came from the outside. Correct, smiled Takano-san, pleased. She must dislike stupid people. Superstition, every last bit of it. The villagers gave everything desperate to oppose the dam construction, and right in the midst of it, the incident drove home the finishing blow. Ah yes, Shiro-sama's curse. I wonder if they're gonna go on about the trying to think of I can't remember the name for the murder, but you know when the dismemberment murder of the dam manager, I think it is. It's one of the heads there, anyway. The person managing the construction site of the Hinamizawa Dam was murdered 4 years ago, I believe. It took the newspapers by storm. Do you remember it? No, not really. He had a fight with a subordinate and was beaten to death with a pickaxe. His limbs and head were torn off and the remains disposed of. One of those dismemberment homicides. They were all the rage at one point. Such a gruesome incident. But it was just that. An incident. A person caused the incident after all. Should they really put it down to the curse? Then the following year, the man who had organised Hinamizawa's group of dam proponents, he fell off a cliff while on vacation and died. Apparently, it was an accident. Of course, most of Hinamizawa was hostile towards him. The police were all over the case as if it were a homicide, but in the end it was judged to have been an accident. Now it's an accident. This is the most curse-like one, but it's still far-fetched. And then on the next year, this time, the priest of this shrine contracted an unknown illness and suddenly died. This may sound a little rude, but the old priest was the kind of wait-and-see type. The whole village was in an uproar about the dam, and he just kind of didn't seem to want to bother. The shrine was a symbol of the opposition movement, and its priest, well, his attitude worked against him. The villagers at the time had hoped for a leader, but their hopes were betrayed. Some people were apparently pretty angry too. So at the time, all the older people were like, This is Oyashiro-sama's curse, that's what they said. It seemed like every year, dam-related people the village had resentment towards were dying. It was pretty creepy. Oh, and also, it's interesting, all of these incidents and accidents always happen on the night of the Watanagashi festival. What? See, starting to sound like a curse now, isn't it? You look incredibly cheerful for that, don't you? Waiting for people to die. Then the year after, in other words, last year, the sister-in-law of the man who was the leader of the dam proponents, the one who had accidentally died, was discovered dead, having been beaten to death. Of course, they caught that criminal. See? Really seems like a curse, huh? 4 years in a row. Each one of the incidents and accidents were relatively commonplace, where every single one of them happening on the night of the festival worshipping Oyashiro-sama. Oh, I'm gonna say that again so many times now. That's not normal. The old folks have been blindly accepting Oyashiro-sama's curse because of the incidents of these past few years. Even younger people too. At first they thought it was stupid, but now nobody makes fun of it. Yeah, I can see where she's coming from. Even me, even if I didn't think there was a curse at all, thinking maybe all the incidents like this makes me feel like maybe it's real. For example, just look at the preparations for the festival you were doing today. Everything might have gone crazy during the battle against the dam, but just a few years ago the Watanagashi was never this well attended. I guess you're right. If we didn't have Oyashiro to talk about, we wouldn't all be coming to the festival like this, huh? There's a lot of people who say that infidels might be punished, so they need to go to the Oyashiro-sama's festival. Shion nodded as if she were mocking herself. So how about it? Keiichi-kun, you're starting to get the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the curse is real, aren't you? I mean, you just can't laugh off people related to the dam construction project all dying like that. Even if I feel like this now, then the more superstitious members of the village must feel stronger than that. Well, I mean, I still don't think there's a curse. I can understand those that believe there is, though. Wow, Kei-chan, you can really keep a cool head about this. Shion grinned, realizing I rejected the curse. If it's neither a curse nor a coincidence, then what should we make of these incidents? Takano-san said, smiling playfully as if posing a riddle. Neither a curse nor a coincidence. But every year, someone dies. What should we make of that then? Tomitake-san, catching on to the fact that I had no idea what to make of it, opened his mouth and came to my aid. Takano-san, it suggested that it might be the work of real people. Yeah. Simple process of elimination would have got to be there. I was a little taken aback at not having realised the answer immediately. Well, think about it. If it's neither a curse nor a coincidence, then people must be willingly carrying it out. It's the only explanation, right? Pressed, Takano-san. I smiled bitterly in spite of myself. Here I was just a few minutes ago thinking the very concept of a curse was completely absurd. When she suggested it was someone's doing, I ended up thinking there wasn't any way it could be a person, but a group of people. But Takano-san was right. It was either a curse or it was a person's doing. If unrealistic things like curses didn't exist, then the next obvious step would be to start thinking it was people behind it. But if that was the case, I glanced at Shion. If the Cobra is a person, then there had to be someone from Hinamizawa. That's what the police officer Oshi-san thinks right now. Hey, wait. That can't be. I thought I knew the reason Mion didn't want to talk about this. hang on. I thought I now knew the reason Mion didn't want to talk about this. If Oyashiro-sama's curse really existed, then that's fine. It would have been divine judgment for the damn project business. However, if Oyashiro-sama's curse didn't exist, which it obviously didn't, then the culprit would be someone from Hinamizawa. The villagers had worked desperately to oppose the damn project. I knew they had used all sorts of methods to fight against it. If one of those methods was, maybe... People whispered that Oyashiro-sama's curse could be the doing of the secret group of the damn resistance movement. Shion dryly put words to my exact thoughts. Of course, I did expect it. She was from Hinamizawa, so I didn't think she'd come out and say it herself. If you calm down and think about it, anyone would come to the same conclusion. There wouldn't be a motive for anyone but people who benefit from opposing the damn project, right? I guess that's true. Admitting to the existence of a darker side of the damn conflict would be rude to Mion, who spoke of it so highly. So I couldn't just accept Shion's seemingly logical viewpoint. One more thing. The police probably don't know this. There's proof that someone from Hinamizawa committed these crimes, and the people of Hinamizawa know it. What? Shion rebukes me to keep my voice down. Sorry, but this proof, what is it? The fact that if one person dies and one more person disappears. One more person disappears? Did that mean that someone besides the one who died when the curse was a sacrifice? What do you mean by disappear? They just vanished and you never see them again? That's right. Suddenly and without a trace. As she spoke, Shion pretended to do a magic trick with her hands, like she was making a magician's hat disappear. One dies a mysterious death, and one disappears never to be seen again. A strange, vanishing act. Then why? How does that equate to someone from Hinamizawa being the culprit? Well, actually, Hinamizawa has this one really old legend. It's about how people offer sacrifices to Oyashiro-sama to calm his wrath. Sacrifices? Yes. They say they used to wrap a living person up in a bamboo mat and let them slowly sink into a bottomless swamp. Takano-san, though explaining something pretty terrible, has a look of glee on her face as she said so. Yet, why you say that with such a smiley, happy face? As far as I gleaned from the literature, it actually took 3 days and 3 nights for them to sink. See, even people a long time ago liked symbolism. Also, they'll just probably die from dehydration at that point. As the body sunk, Oyashiro-sama's anger would be quelled. Both were submerged into the deep. Takano-san was the only one laughing at this. Was she telling a joke or something? He didn't move to deny it, but I felt a difference in temperature between her cool expression and Takano-san's. Hang on, wait. Did I say that wrong? Shion didn't move to deny. Okay. Yeah, Shion didn't move to deny. I thought it was like, what's she talking about? Why is Takano? Why are they making a comparison there? This whole conversation. Well, I think you can imagine after hearing it, but it's the secret history of Hinamizawa. Everyone who has been in Hinamizawa for a long time knows it, or they don't talk about it. Takano-san's not from here, but he knows quite a lot. He really likes local history, folks, legends, and stuff like that. She learns all about it by herself too. I'm really not that amazing. Just curious, that's all. Like a child. I just want to see scary things for the fun of it. Tomitaka-san laughed, a little bit embarrassed. Wait a minute. What does that mean, the person who disappeared during the incidents, you're saying they're offered as a sacrifice? Yeah. Shion answers in one word before anyone else can speak. Someone dies, and then someone disappears. Well, whether they actually get sacrificed or not is a different issue. But every time something happens in the past, one person died and another person disappeared. For example, the first one, when the dam site manager was killed, apparently one of the people responsible for that still hasn't been arrested. Couldn't that just mean that he managed to get away? I don't see why we should treat him as a sacrifice. Well, that's basically what I think too. There was also the year after that with the leader of the dam proponents. You said he fell from a cliff and died on vacation, right? Apparently his wife fell as well. The police officer investigated fervently, but they were never able to find the wife's corpse. The river under the cliff was actually pretty high at the time though. She could have been buried under the sand at the bottom of some lake downstream or something. The perpetrator of the dismemberment like that wouldn't want to be caught, so they had to be desperate to run away and hide too. I thought I heard about cases where the corpse wouldn't surface after the person drowned in a swollen river like that. He vanished because of an unfortunate accident, but I still didn't see the connection to the sacrifices. If we took each of the past incidents in turn, none of the disappearances evoked that terrifying of an image. The year after that, with the priest suddenly falling ill and dying is much clearer. His wife left a suicide note. They found it in their house the night the priest died. It said something along the lines of her quelling Oyasho-sama's wrath through her death. The curse it seemed to turn up in this one though. Well, we may never know the truth of the matter. The swamp the wife drowned herself in was the giant bottomless one Takano mentioned before. The police investigated it, but all they could find were several of her possessions. They never found the corpse. The police suspected it was a fake suicide, and they're still investigating it now. Someone dies every year in the same way someone goes missing every year. Is she trying to tell me that someone who vanished was kidnapped by some extremely efficient means and dumped into the bottomless swamp, still alive and drowned to death? But a curse? That's unbelievable in its own right. And the last year, what was it? The dam proponent's sister-in-law? He was killed, and the same way someone disappeared. There was a boy around my age named Satoshi Hojo. He's the nephew by marriage of the woman killed. She uncut him with a slightly strong tone of voice. She knew the boy who had disappeared pretty well, at least that's the vibe I was getting. Well, that's about sums up everything. One person always dies and one person always suddenly disappears, leaving the suddenness behind. The fact that each incident involved one person disappearing, so that means the first person who dies is because of Yashio-sama's curse, the second person who vanishes is because the villagers sacrifice them? Is that it? Kei-chan, there's no curse. Nobody kills the first person under the guise of the curse, and someone takes away the second person to be a sacrifice. But Shion, that means that the criminal is in the village. That's what I've been guessing from the start. It's pretty shocking though, you know? We live in the Showa period. It's kind of hard to believe people are committing murder like it's nothing, using some ancient justifications, huh? It didn't have anything to do with our discussion, but I got the feeling Shion didn't like Hinamizawa very much. We enjoyed talking about Hinamizawa and its epic tales, though she avoided talking about Oyashio-sama's curse, which didn't paint Hinamizawa in a good light no matter how you looked at it. She was trying not to give me a bad impression of the village, so she didn't say anything. Shion, on the other hand, was somehow different. She wasn't rejecting the concept of a curse to purge Hinamizawa of this bad impression, but rather because she strongly believed that a member of the village was the criminal behind this. Her conviction seemed a bit removed from the tight sense of community held by the people of Hinamizawa. Once upon a time, they looked so alike you could mistake one for the other. But talking to her now, I was getting a powerful feeling that Shion had a completely different personality than Mion. And everyone else, they think someone from Hinamizawa did it, right? Neither Shion nor Takano-san answered that. The deafening silence told me all that needed to be said. Then let me ask one other question. If someone from Hinamizawa is the culprit, then who is it? Neither Shion nor Takano-san had a reply to that question either. Though it may be rude to ask, I had hoped they wouldn't have one. The reason I asked was to argue that their explanation that the culprit was from Hinamizawa was nothing more than one possibility. She had caught on to my plan. She gave a pained smile at my petty spite and opened her mouth to speak. All I said really was, just amounts to circumstantial evidence anyway. If any of us knew who it really was, we would have gotten them to the police's hands now already. As would anyone. Then what about Takano-san? He too smiled dryly as Shion had and opened her own mouth. I'd like to clear one thing up. I'm not a detective or anything, alright? In all honesty, I'm really not interested in who the culprit is. Takano-san, you sure are a handful there. Kawataka-san gives a bitter laugh at her sudden opinion on the matter. You see, I just like cruel and atrocious ancient traditions and fairy tales. Boy, that's a fun hobby to get into, isn't it? I only enjoy them from a curious onlooker's perspective. Though even for this string of incidents, it's not so much finding out who the culprit is, but enjoying thinking about how the old traditions displayed by the incidents themselves still seem to have some pretty deep roots around here. Though she describes herself as nothing more than a curious onlooker, her smile was as sharp as the tip of a blade. Women like her felt very strange and a bit scary to me. Maybe it's just that I was in fearful awe of the person whose emotions I couldn't comprehend. Well, I don't think any of this is interesting at all. The Watanagashi festival is coming up tomorrow, but I don't want anyone to die or disappear. Tomorrow, huh? That's right. It completely slipped my mind, even though we were helping out in their preparation. We just forgot. A string of murder incidents people attributed to Oyashiro-sama's curse. It wasn't over. If last year's innocence wasn't the end, then tomorrow at the night of the festival, would someone die and someone disappear? I do wonder who will die tomorrow, and who will disappear though. Takano-san said, running a comb through her hair, with elegant movements, with a thin smile, and a voice that nearly made me shudder. She almost looked like she was enjoying the thought of the incidents that could happen tomorrow. And then out of the blue we heard a round of applause that they seemed to be enjoying the end of the drinking party early. Right, I was making Mion wait this whole time, wasn't I? I should go back to her soon. You're teasing the kid too much, Takano-san. Now Keiichiko thinks it's all true. I apologise. It's that bad habit of mine again. Takano-san, said Takano-san, sticking out her tongue bashfully. The strangeness in her expression was nowhere to be found. When Takano-san sees an innocent child like you, she can't help wanting to poke fun at them. It's a real bad habit. Keiichiko, you listened to everything so earnestly that she ended up getting carried away. Unlike Takano-san, Tomitaki-san seemed a totally normal person with common sense. They were apologizing after realizing what kind of impression they'd given me. But still, Takano-san said it's all fiction. If it made you harbor any bad impression about Hinamizawa, then we apologize for that. Geez, Jiro-san, you apologize too, Takano-san. Tell him you're sorry for scaring him. Takano-san and Tomitaki were arguing and messing around now. The strained air around us had completely dissipated. Kei-chan, you should really get going soon too. Mion is the jealous type. Yeah. If she sees me, she'll probably start a fight, so I'll just be going home. Really? And I'll go see what Mion's doing and apologize for making her wait, I guess. Sorry for being such a nuisance, Keiichi-kun. Could you tell Mion-chan that we're sorry for worrying you for so long? Yes, I don't think telling her will make her feel any better, but sure. Tomitaki-san and Takano-san, standing next to each other, both began to chuckle. Okay then, Kei-chan, let's try and run into each other at tomorrow's festival. We'll see each other. I mean, it's us we're talking about after all. We'll be making so much trouble it'll be hard for you not to find us. Jion and I said our goodbye to Tomitaki-san and Takano-san. Before we could leave, Takano-san called out to us. Thanks for listening so earnestly to what I had to say. You're just so good at listening, I had a great time talking to you. Good at listening? No, not at all. I was in a state of perpetual bewilderment from all the shocking topics being thrown at me one after another. Did you like my story today? Well, it was pretty interesting. And I'll tell you some more some other time, okay? There's a lot of pretty interesting legends and fairy tales about Hinamizawa. Of course, a lot of strange and creepy ones too. I'll choose a bunch of my favourites and tell you about them. I was kind of happy, but kind of worried. I can't help but smile dryly and scratch at my head. Keiji-kun, you can go now. Takano-san is just messing with you. They say goodbye again and run off into the distance, into the sunset. I heard Tomitaki-san call out behind him in a clear voice that we could see each other at the festival tomorrow. When I went to the tent Mion was waiting for me in, she was nowhere to be found. I made her wait so long. Maybe she got mad and went home. After asking some adults passing by, I heard that she went home talking to some relatives. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But my regrets for having made Mion wait wasn't enough to triumph over the impression Takano-san and Shion's uncanny story left on me. Serial murder incidents that happened 4 years in a row. Would tomorrow's events make this the 5th? And the possibility that someone from Hinamizawa was carrying this all out under the guise of a curse. The queer tradition of ritual sacrifice entirely unbecoming of the short period we lived in. I regretted it a little, though it was too late. None of these creepy stories had anything to do with me. Then, should I have let Mion pull me away from that crowd? I felt a little ashamed about letting my cheap curiosity get the better of me. And that's the end of the chapter, I believe. It would be weird if it didn't though. It feels like a nice way to end. Yeah, learning all the information about the curse once again. I've got many tips. Ah, little L bug we say.